Dr. Ellen Reeves woke up screaming in her office chair, hands covered in blood that wasn't there a moment ago. The clock read 3 a.m. Her last patient had left at 6 p.m. 9 hours gone, vanished like smoke. On her notepad, written in her own handwriting but in a language she didn't recognize, were detailed notes about a session she couldn't remember conducting. The words seemed to writhe on the page, rearranging themselves when she wasn't looking directly at them. Her voice recorder sat on the desk, still running. She pressed play with trembling fingers. Her own voice filled the room, but the words were wrong, spoken in reversed speech that somehow she understood perfectly. "Thank you for letting me in, doctor. I've been waiting so long for someone to remember me." In the corner of the room, barely visible in the darkness, wet footprints led from her therapy chair to where she now sat. Small footprints, a child's. But she lived alone, always had. Ellen spent the next day convincing herself it was exhaustion, overwork, stress. But then came the memories that didn't belong to her. She remembered drowning in a bathtub, small hands pushing her head underwater. But Ellen had never drowned. She remembered being 7 years old, locked in a basement, scratching at a wooden door until her fingers bled. But Ellen's childhood had been normal, hadn't it? At her desk, reviewing patient files, she found photographs she'd never taken. Polaroids of herself sleeping, taken from inside her bedroom. Dozens of them, weeks' worth. In each one, a small shadow stood in the corner, growing closer to her bed with each image. Her phone rang, a blocked number. She answered. Heavy breathing. Then a child's voice, sing-song and sweet. "Dr. Reeves, I'm ready for my session now. I'm already inside." Ellen spun around. Her office was empty, but in the mirror behind her desk, she saw herself sitting in her chair. And standing behind her reflection, hands on her shoulders, was a little girl with hollow black eyes and a smile too wide for her face. Ellen turned back. Nothing there. Just her empty office. The little girl in the mirror waved. Ellen canceled her appointments, but the patients came anyway. They sat in her waiting room, staring at the walls with empty expressions, speaking in unison without moving their lips. "She's been waiting for you, in the room you don't remember." She tried to leave her office, but every door led back to the same hallway, the same waiting room, the same patients who shouldn't be there. Then she found the door, hidden behind a bookshelf she'd owned for 10 years but never thought to move. The door was old, wooden, with deep scratch marks on the inside as if someone had tried desperately to claw their way out. A brass plate read, "The Forgetting Room." Ellen's hands moved without her control, unlocking the door. Inside was a therapy room identical to hers, but wrong. The walls were covered in children's drawings, all depicting the same scene. A little girl drowning a woman who looked exactly like Ellen. In the therapy chair sat a patient, a young woman, early 20s, rocking back and forth. "You came back," the woman whispered, looking up. Her face was Ellen's face, younger, terrified, broken. "I've been your patient for 15 years, doctor. Don't you remember? You promised you'd help me forget what I did to you." The younger Ellen stood, movements jerky and unnatural, like a puppet with tangled strings. "You created this room, doctor, after I killed you the first time." Ellen's mind fractured, memories cascaded, real and false intertwining. She saw herself as a child therapist, specializing in traumatized children. She saw a little girl named Sarah, 7 years old, who'd watched her mother drown in a bathtub. A mother who looked exactly like Ellen. "No," Ellen whispered. "I don't have a daughter." "Not anymore," young Ellen smiled with too many teeth. "You forgot her. You forgot me. You forgot everything that happened in this room because remembering would break you." The walls began to breathe. The children's drawings animated, showing the drowning over and over, an endless loop. But in each drawing, the roles reversed. Sometimes the child drowned the mother. Sometimes the mother drowned the child. Sometimes they drowned together, holding each other under. "We've been doing this for 15 years, young Ellen continued. "You treat me. I remember what you did. You can't handle it, so you forget. Then we start again. An endless session." Behind her, the therapy chair split open. Inside, preserved in amber-like fluid, was a small body, a little girl, eyes open, forever drowning in nothing. Sarah, her daughter, the one she'd... Ellen screamed. The memories hit like physical blows. Ellen saw it all now. Her daughter, Sarah, born with something wrong inside her, something that whispered to Ellen in the night, making her think terrible thoughts. Sarah, at age 7, eyes black as oil, speaking in voices of the dead. Ellen had tried exorcism. Priests fled, screaming. She'd tried therapy, medication, isolation. Nothing worked. Sarah grew stronger, feeding on Ellen's fear and guilt. Then came the bathtub. Ellen holding her daughter underwater, tears streaming down her face, Sarah laughing even as she drowned, promising it wasn't over. "But I couldn't live with what I'd done," Ellen said, understanding flooding through her. "So I became a therapist. I created the forgetting room. I made myself forget, then tried to treat my own trauma. But Sarah, I never left," the young Ellen said, her form flickering, becoming the drowned child. Water poured from Sarah's mouth, filled with writhing black things that scattered across the floor. "Every patient you've treated for 15 years has been me. Every memory you've suppressed has fed me. I've grown so strong, Mommy." The patients from the waiting room entered, all wearing Sarah's face. They surrounded Ellen, reaching with waterlogged hands. "Tonight, we finish our session," they said in perfect unison. "Tonight, you remember everything, and remembering will destroy you." Ellen ran, but the office had become a labyrinth of forgetting rooms. Each one contained a different version of herself, each one treating a different manifestation of Sarah. In one room, she performed an exorcism. In another, she held a pillow over a hospital bed. In another, she drank pills and wine, trying to join her daughter in death. "You've tried to forget me in 1,000 ways," Sarah's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "But I am your memory, Mother. I am every session you've conducted, every patient you've tried to save. They were all me. You've been treating your own guilt over and over, and I've been eating every forgotten moment." Ellen stumbled into her original office. The mirror showed her reflection, but it was wrong. Her reflection moved independently, smiling Sarah's too wide smile. "I'm not just in your memories anymore," Reflection Ellen said. "I'm in your body. I've been slowly possessing you through every forgotten session. Every time you black out, I take a little more. Every memory you suppress gives me more room to grow inside you." Ellen looked down at her hands. They moved without her command, reaching for her own throat. She fought against her own body as it began to strangle her. In the mirror, Sarah's face pushed through Ellen's skin from the inside, features distorting, bones cracking and reshaping. Ellen's body convulsed, splitting between two wills fighting for control. In desperate clarity, she understood the only way to end this. Stop forgetting. Stop running. Face every moment, every horror, every truth. She stopped fighting her hands, let them tighten around her throat, and she remembered. Remembered Sarah's birth, the thing that wore her daughter's face from the first breath. Remembered the entity that had chosen her womb, had grown inside her, feeding on her love and twisting it into sustenance. Remembered that the drowning wasn't murder. It was the only baptism that worked, holding the demon underwater while praying until her daughter's true soul was finally freed. "You're not Sarah," Ellen gasped. "You're what killed her, what wore her, and I've been letting you feed on my guilt for 15 years. The entity shrieked, Ellen's reflection shattering into 1,000 pieces. The forgetting rooms collapsed inward. Every suppressed memory returned at once, and instead of breaking her, they made her whole. Ellen spoke words she'd forgotten, the prayers the priests had taught her before they fled. Her office burned with invisible fire. The entity screamed through her mouth, black water pouring from her eyes, nose, throat. When morning came, police found Dr. Ellen Reeves in her office, catatonic, surrounded by files of patients who'd never existed. She never spoke again. But sometimes, visitors at the psychiatric hospital see her lips moving, repeating the same words endlessly. "I remember now. I remember everything." And so does she. In her old office, now abandoned, the door to the forgetting room occasionally opens by itself. Inside, wet footprints lead to the therapy chair. Small footprints. Fresh ones.